Hey everybody, ronarray here, and my league start with Cyclone, Shockwave Slayer went absolutely great. I got the stones pretty fast and finished campaign without a lot of issues, even if there have been some particular lags and crashes at the league start, which is pretty natural. So in this video, I wanted to give a quick first day update, showcase what I changed in the build, and how I'm currently progressing, what my current goals are, what kind of gear I got, and where I'm going with the build. Let's go, and I will be able to explain what you need to focus on to if you're playing Cyclone or generally enjoy Slayer builds. Feel free to subscribe to the channel to stay updated as well, and let's go. So now let's talk about the state the build currently in. First off, at the first days I focused on getting my items at least a little up to date. And I want to focus on the new mechanics that we got is like Grafts. So for the Grafts, I heavily recommend to run a combination. First off, we have a Graft right here with 10% chance to impale enemies on hit with attacks. It also uses a Violent Desire, which is pretty nice, and it can give us 22% increased effect of impale. That's feeling absolutely amazing in the game, so I heavily recommend to use it. And next up is the second Graft, which is giving additional physical damage reduction together with global physical damage, and it's giving the buff that just gives you life recovery rate and endurance charge when gained. We don't really need endurance charges at the moment, but life recovery rate feeling kinda good, improving the leech. However, running the combination with physical damage reduction and global physical damage together with impale, I think currently is one of the best approaches to the Grafts. I think perfectly there's an option when we're just going to run double impale graft, so like impale and increase maximum life. I believe that 12% increase maximum life right here is just an absolutely amazing buff because it's helping a lot. And it's adding additional hit pool that we currently need. My character is about 4000 life at the moment, a little higher, so getting 12% right here means a lot. And physical damage reduction is working pretty good, especially considering that I'm currently using Abyssus as a Might Burgonet. So focusing on that graft is very nice idea as well. Global physical damage is not adding that much, so perfectly I would get something for impale here as well, or maybe 12% of increased maximum life all over again. So combination of such grafts like impale and life and physical damage reduction and global physical is currently the way in my opinion. You can also get Violent Desire used by this graft, grants 12% increased area of effect with attacks, as you can see at that graft, and I think it's helping a lot for Cyclone because you can hit much. And the next step is like I started to using Abyssus as a mid Burgonet. I think right now it's worth it, even if it could make your character like Squisher, you still can deal significantly more damage with this, and I think if you're not playing hardcore, that's a very good trade-off. Next step is just like Carnage Heart, you can buff it with Serpent Stance and can get like as high stats on it as possible. I'm also using the Stampede Assassin Boots, and I recommend to allocate like Enigmatic Defense on this. You can annoy them in your Blight menu or just by going to the Cassia. Oh, I also got a very nice belt in my opinion, just with life and a lot of resistances. I think such belts are significantly cheaper at the moment because it's easy to force resistances on them, and I heavily recommend that you will get one. Later on, I think we could replace it to Stygian or even to some unique belts like Headhunter, for example, but right now I think Rustic Stash is absolutely worth it. And the next item is gloves. I'm pretty proud of those gloves just based on how they look. The main stats at your gloves should be like accuracy, increased damage while leeching, and attack speed perfectly. Everything else is not playing much of a role, but if you can get like life in here and some armor, it would be perfect. I'm probably going to change the influence on it later on, but currently I'm just playing 18% increased melee damage. My rings are also pretty nice, but I just focused on the rings with Chaos Resistance and Open Suffix. It's pretty important to have like more Chaos Resistance because it's very hard to cap, so I recommend to run like chaos resistance rings. Channeling skills has -3 to total mana cost is absolutely mandatory at the start until you will get a proper body armor later on. Same for the second ring, you just have a lot of chaos resistance here and some life. It's here to just cap resistances themselves. As my body armor, I have a very basic thing that I usually don't even recommend to follow. I just have like life in here, a little resistances, and double influence for block and global physical damage. I got that from the tree, it's been very cheap, and I'm not really going to replace it until I will be able to craft or buy nice armor with like Warlord influence that will get like minus mana for me. And the last part of the items is my weapon. I got that weapon yesterday and I think it's a very nice one. It's probably could be a little too expensive for most people, but I think it's absolutely worth it. So the upside for that weapon is just like an Azimuth staff with almost 1000 physical DPS per second, and it also has a critical chance on it, so it's like tier 1 critical chance. So when you're looking for the weapon, make sure that your weapon has critical chance on it or critical multiplier, so suffixes are not bad. My weapon right here has only one bad suffix, it's increased lightning damage, which is absolutely useless, but the rest is very nice and useful. So don't just focus on high physical DPS stuff, try to get criticals in the suffixes, like both of those options are very important. So now let's talk about the tree. And in the tree, like I progressed Ascendancy, it's been pretty easy, just taking Impact, then Bane of Legends, and Headsman, and Brutal Fervor is always last. I also got like Awakened Ascendancy, but I'm not using anything in there, and I just took it because we killed like a breach boss. So that's making sense. And for the rest of the tree is really looking similar to my leveling trees that I already provided. But right now there have been a few small changes that I think worth mentioning. First off, initially I decided to get Light of Minion as fast as possible. It's giving +4 to chaos resistance for passive skills in radius, and I think it's absolutely amazing at the moment. It's literally giving me almost all my chaos resistance, so as you can see my chaos is capped, I'm at 77 right now. If I'm taking that jewel off, I'm falling to 1. So just that jewel giving me 76% of chaos resistance, which is absolutely insane and it's worth the investment. Even if you can't afford it now, later on I heavily recommend to buy that. I also changed the passives a little around disemboweling, so instead of just going for multiplier, I decided to go up and take melee critical multiplier and melee critical strike chance, because my chance is not capped at the moment. I'm also still keeping Eagle Eye with accuracy mastery, I think it's absolutely worth it and it's pretty good for me. And last part, I decided to take a Wrecking Ball because right now that line should give you about 20% of DPS and I think it's absolutely worth it at the moment. I also been experimenting a lot with like Merciless Skewering for additional impale chance, but I don't think it's worth the point because you need to spend too many for it. However, if you feel like you need more damage and your survivability is absolutely fine, you can just invest points here and take Merciless Skewering, especially if you're not running impale support. For the supports currently, we have like multiple options. Right now I'm using Infused Channeling support, but I think you can run Impale support without a lot of issues, and it's probably going to give you more damage, especially if you don't have very good grafts. So if you prioritize survivability, you can go for Infused Channeling. If you prioritize just damage, I recommend to go for the Impale. The rest of the gem setup is literally the same like in my initial leveling one, so like Lip Slam, Flesh and Stone, Desecrate, Frost Blink. I'm running Assassin Mark with Life Tap and Mark on Hit. I believe Life Tap is fixing the situation with the mana because I have only 75 mana up. And the rest of the auras are fitting pretty easily. I just have Flesh and Stone, Blood and Sand, Auto Exertion and Pride. About Blood and Sand and Flesh and Stone, most of the time I recommend you to play in the Blood stance for more damage, but if you need a little more clear, you can always just change it to Sand stance and change it back when you encounter like harder rares. It depends on if you want to click one button or not. And talking about that part of the setup, it's also very important to talk like about Pantheon. So for the Pantheon, I have like Soul of the Brine King just to have 100% chance to avoid being frozen. That's like the main part. I'm going to use it just to make sure not like random enemies not freezing me to death. And the small god could be a little different, so we have like two options right here. If the big issue is physical, and since I'm currently using the Abyssus, I think running Soul of Growth is making a lot of sense because it's helping you with physical damage reduction. However, when you're fighting like more elemental enemies and if you have issues with them, I believe that running Soul of Garukhan just to reduce effect of shock could help a lot as well. So you can look at both of those options. Initially, I'm running like Soul of the Growth Hole, but if I can see in the maps there are like crazy amount of lightning, occasionally I'm taking Soul of the Garukhan instead. And like second bonus at Growth Hole is pretty nice. You need to capture Arabic Light Bane for it. I'm probably going to do it a little later. So what is the goal at the moment? For the next part of the progression, I'm probably going to focus on improving my body armor, because my body armor at the moment like falling off significantly. And I'm also going to add much more, like bigger amount of sockets and start to buy jewels for that sockets, because it's absolutely justified and should worth it in the moment. So also adding cluster jewels is pretty much the next step, and I'm probably going to showcase that in the next update. But that's where the build is at the moment. I think it's pretty nice and it can farm the content without a lot of issues. I can already touch like tier 17s, but I think the next update is going to be focused on tier 17s much more. Hope it's been helpful for you as well, and thank you very much for watching. You can also check my video on Genesis 3, I think it could be pretty profitable at the moment and help you if you're going to craft a particular items. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time. ronarray out.